So, a new anime avatar, the streamer, has dropped. But this one, it's not about Israel, thank God. It's about the
Feels like he
Holodomor
supports the
genocide
Holocaust.
question. How BadEmpanada lies to you. So we're gonna give this one 10 minutes, I say. I think that's about as much as it deserves. No one's gonna. No, I tell you right now. Literally no one has watched this entire video, not a single person. And I can already tell you how it's 100% going to go. It's going to be someone who has never heard of absolutely anything regarding the actual academic discussion and the actual evidence regarding the topic, just hearing about it for the first time, and mostly hearing it from me, going over the fucking Wikipedia article of the evidence, and just acting incredibly indignant over the fact that, like, something that they have taken for granted and believed without needing any evidence to believe it isn't actually how they would like it to be in reality when you look at the evidence. And that's how this stuff always goes. Well, of course, with a fucking anime avatar. God. Incredible. Let's look at the comments first. Stalinist Enjoyer, the VTuber, Charlie Price. It was a real pleasure being invited with you to talk about this stuff. Wait, there were two of them? This is getting out of hand. Now there's two of them. One normal positive comment from apparently the person who was in the video with them. One, I can't tell if this is positive or negative. There's like four comments from people who you could probably say claim to be viewers of this person, and then all the rest. I don't even know how these people found this video. I've never seen it before or talked about it. And there's like a bunch of comments from you fucking losers in here. What are you doing? Are you searching for my name on YouTube? Is it getting recommended to you or something? This is absolutely embarrassing. Perhaps the best example ever of losing an argument to an inanimate video. I know this person's a fucking viewer of mine because I coined that phrase. Like, I coined the phrase losing an argument to an inanimate video. Like losing a debate to a fucking video. Because that's what everyone who has ever responded to me has done. Just lost a debate to a fucking video. And of course this is going to be exactly that. You think someone who's like an anime avatar on Twitch streaming to free viewers knows anything? Obviously not. So yeah, let's get right down to it. As I said, I'm going to give it 10 minutes. Holy shit, they're playing a fucking video game. Are they even watching the video? Like, they're playing a video game the whole fucking time. What is this shit? Some dumbass who plays a fucking video game while just saying whatever comes to mind as they hear someone doing an in-depth fucking analysis of the academic scholarship on the Holodomor. And apparently we're supposed to take this as like a serious debunking? We're supposed to take this as like some serious, rigorous debunking of my video. Like, I could be completely wrong and they could be completely right. Yet doing this would make me look right anyway and make them look wrong. Because this is not how you deal with anything. This is just what you do when you're like a literal adult child who just, for some reason, can't pause the video game for a second to actually pay some actual attention and perhaps even, look for your own sources or something. Or is that too much to ask? I don't know. Let's check it out, folks. Playing I can't. They just play the fucking video game, man. Turn the video game off for long enough to pay attention to something else, please. You're ruining your brain.
Oof! We got it. This is what happens when you mess with the ducky, okay?
I already want to die. It's like a video about the Holodomor genocide question, okay? And the beginning is like, video game. We won the video game. Woohoo! This is the quality of opponent that I have. This is the quality of like the intellect that takes exception to my content. Are you fucking kidding me?
Hey, this is what happens. This is what happens in class.
Holy shit. I could not stand 10 minutes of this. Let's speed it up a little bit.
Yay!
We're 18 seconds in. We're 18 fucking seconds in and I don't even know what this is. This is about my video? It doesn't look like it.
Come on. Okay, I will be a notch higher. Okay, right off the bat, what is this? What is this Holodomor genocide question? Can we go to the real Wikipedia page for a second here? It doesn't say what?
What?
It's not a question. What the hell? It's not a question. Right.
This is exactly what I said. Someone with no fucking idea what they're talking about. It's like, huh? How could this even be a question? There's no question here. This isn't real. This is false. Unfucking believable.
Of the bad.
Right off the bat, you're proving yourself to be a fucking moron with no idea what you're talking about. The most basic academic debate even existing just offends you because what you believe in is just propagandistic mythology rather than anything remotely based on actual evidence.
Honesty to the nth degree. What is this BS about it being a question?
It's not a question. Oh my god, this is the sort of person who she's definitely going to say poggers at some point. This is the sort of person who speaks in Twitch emoticons.
Question. Wait. Isn't BadEmpanada super anti-Semite?
Holy shit! I'm sorry, I was a bit too generous. It is another aristocracy. It's the same person. It's funny when you can't pronounce a word and you just like mock another language. That's extremely funny.
Yeah, I heard that BadEmpanada has a nasty habit.
I heard that Lucy Hayes is a confirmed pedophile. Now, this is just a rumor, right? I just heard the rumor that Lucy Hayes is a pedophile, anti-Semite who hates black people. Now, this is, of course, just a rumor. It's not confirmed, but it is worth keeping in mind. So make sure to keep the pedophilia of YouTuber Lucy Hayes in mind.
Jewish people, and I'm Jewish, I'm Polish Jewish, and also trans.
Incredible.
So I might incur the wrath of BadEmpanada.
One time is like bad enough, but it just comes off as like someone being like, foreign language very funny. Like this is the equivalent of being like, haha, ching chong wing wong, when you're talking about someone saying a Chinese word.
What the? This is so messed up.
You could at least bring the fucking page that you're looking at on the screen.
You need to remember dahaka. Technically speaking, any Jewish person, documented Jewish person, can be Israeli national.
What the fuck is going on here? What is this? Like I said, I'd give them 10 minutes. We're 2 minutes in and they haven't even watched like the first split second of the video. And they're talking about something completely unrelated. What the fuck is going on?
But that's besides the point.
Yeah, it is besides the point. Thank you.
Okay, let's listen to what he has to say. But right off the bat, dishonesty strikes because there is no such thing as the Holodomor.
Incredible! Right off the bat, dishonesty strikes. There is no such thing as this. There is no such thing as this. She says this in the face of an article that makes it very clear there is very much such a thing as the Holodomor genocide question. Something that is discussed very seriously academically. There's no such thing. So right off the bat, we have someone with no fucking idea what they're talking about, dismissing a very real and ongoing academic debate because, you know, they're just a random far-right nationalist who doesn't like hearing something that contradicts their taken for granted zero evidence beliefs. This is already exactly what I thought it would be.
Genocide question, quote unquote. There's just the Holodomor. Although I know it under the name of the Great Hunger in Ukraine, and that's because when you go to the Wikipedia, right? In Polish Wikipedia, it's called. In Polish wiki, it is called Wielki Głód na Ukrainie, which translates into the Great Hunger of Ukraine. So Polish people know it as the Great Hunger, and I am pretty sure that Ukrainian people themselves also call it the Great Hunger.
They call it Holodomor. That's why the name is used everywhere. The name is literally a Ukrainian word. What the fuck is the point? What is even... I've never seen anyone just completely fail to address anything relevant to the topic. Like to
Actually,
this extent.
know personally people that Ukrainian people still very much remember the Great Hunger. Okay? So it's really insulting to claim that it is false.
What? The question isn't whether it happened, it's whether it was a genocide or not. You can clear that clearly in the name. You can see that clearly in the name. Holodomor genocide question. Holodomor genocide question. Very fucking simple. Like, you would have thought they would have looked into this topic a little bit before trying to make a 4-hour
Feels like
long
he supports the
debunk
Holocaust.
stream where they pertain to, like, prove that I lie to you. You would think they would look into the very fucking basics of the topic rather than just learning about it in real time and basically just saying, oh my god, this completely uncontroversial debate that has existed for decades its very existence is not okay and wrong. How dare this exist? You would think you would have gotten this out of the way, perhaps off stream, and actually done a bit of research to make yourself even remotely capable of even touching the shit that I go into here, that I am deeply knowledgeable about. This is such a fucking joke. Like, the people who take exception to the shit that I make are just universally complete fucking morons. It's unbelievable. Like, Jesus, man.
Really insulting and disgusting.
It's insulting and disgusting. It's all the bad words, right? It's just all the bad words. Curiously,
I'm consuming.
we don't need evidence. We don't need facts. All we need is bad words that attack the fact that anyone could ever dare to contest nationalist mythology that was hatched in the 1980s through the concerted, well-funded efforts of far-right Ukrainian diaspora nationalist organizations. Wow. How dare you question that? Impossible. Disgusting. Bad words. We don't need evidence. We don't need facts. All we need are like these ridiculous emotional knee-jerk arguments made by someone with no fucking clue what's going on.
In doing so, I'll talk about Wikipedia's problems, which will hopefully inspire viewers to look at it a bit more
Did she like skip? Like, that's nonsensical. She definitely skipped like a minute of the video.
critically. Something that I
Okay,
think is important
BadEmpanada.
because many of us use it constantly.
This is she's doing the same thing as like making fun of Asian languages by just like imitating them in the racist ways that white people do. Exact same shit.
Myself included. We'll also be going over the historical research on the Holodomor and the 1932 to 1933 Soviet famine in detail, and especially the
White
question
rights,
of
of
whether
course.
or not the famine was intentionally planned and
Can you stop playing the video game for 1 second? Can you pay attention? Dear God, man.
engineered to genocide Ukraine.
Pause the video game. Watch the fucking video. This is insulting. This is fucking insulting. The level of pure effort and care that I put into researching for my videos. And then you have people like this pertaining to be able to debunk them by just saying whatever random shit happens to come to mind when they're like paying half attention while playing a fucking video game. Fucking hell. People like this should be ostracized from the internet. Unbelievable.
A pretty commonly held belief that you might have heard of before, and something that I've wanted to address here on my channel for a while now. Now let's get right down to it.
What is this honest piece of crap?
Piece of crap.
Wikipedia is, according to its official tagline, the free
Wait,
encyclopedia.
where is BadEmpanada from?
Man, it's literally no different to seeing a Chinese word and just repeating Chin Chong Ling Wong over and over again. Unfucking believable. It's straight up someone seeing the Spanish language, which they no doubt associate with, like, you know, being someone from Poland. They no doubt associate with what they know about, like, Mexico from American hegemonic international pop culture. And they see that word and it's like, haha, Spanish word, gotta make fun of it. Because it's it's just like the language those Mexicans speak. Same fucking shit. You know that's exactly what's going on here.
Who is he? Can we do a little bit of research on him? This
is insane. We're like an entire minute. I don't even think we're a minute into the video at this point, like 30 seconds into it. And now she's pausing it to be like, can we look up this person and perhaps do some ad hominem attacks against him rather than even remotely trying to address the content of the actual video in any remotely acceptable way?
Does he have
Finally pausing the video game, though.
a Wikipedia or something? Where is he from? Who is he? Do you know anything about him?
Unbelievable. What is this?
Do you actually know anything about? Do we know anything about him apart from the fact that he's Argentina? VTubia.
It has the fucking Juan Guaido face app picture. Incredible. It has the Juan Guaido face app picture as like my real pic. No one change that, please. Leave that there. That's fantastic. No one change that. No one go and change that. Leave it there. Juan Guaido face app.
Is this him? Yeah, that's right. That's him. Where is he from? Australia.
Where is he from? I can guarantee you she's going to be like, where is he from? Oh my God, he's
Praise
from
be
Australia?
to Allah.
He has no right to talk about Ukraine. He has no right to read and examine the historical research on this topic. The only people who are allowed to talk about Ukraine are Ukrainian nationalists.
He's from Australia. He's from Australia. Living in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Okay. holy shit, man. This is
Okay.
like, I don't even know how to describe this. Like, this is the least watchable thing I have ever seen in my life. Easily the least watchable thing I could ever imagine. It's no wonder this person probably gets like free viewers when this is their content.
Yeah, that anyone can edit. In theory,
Shouldn't even say anything about that. What was the point? What was the point in the end?
that's a great idea. An attempt to try and aggregate the sum of human knowledge in a very collaborative and inclusive way. And it does usually work okay. It's reasonable
it
at giving
works.
an introductory outline on many topics, especially one.
It works okay. It works okay when the info on Wikipedia agrees with him. But when it doesn't, then it doesn't work okay. Any
Dear God, can she like look at the camera? Why is she like this all the time? I can explain in complete depth, as I did in the video, the problems of this Wikipedia article by going completely in depth, going over all of its sources in depth. You think she's going to do anything remotely like that? All that she can do is point at this thing and be like, oh my God, this shouldn't even exist. No one should even be allowed to talk about this. This should be literally prohibited. Unreal.
more. You know what? We're gonna look up some sources.
Ones that aren't particularly controversial. And
Okay, since I don't have real in-depth knowledge about
Yeah, you don't. So why the fuck are you doing this?
the Great Hunger, can we do this? We're gonna
Why are you making this video if you don't know what you're talking about by your own admission? Why are you so sure that you're right about this if you don't know what you're talking about by your own admission? Why? Why is this a thing? It's literally just pointing at something and being like, me no like.
respond to this video. Okay, we're gonna look into.
So, right, in order to respond to this video, first we have to look up things that fit with our preconceived views. And then we're just going to try to randomly apply them to this video that we haven't even looked at yet. You know, we're not going to actually look at it. We're going to go in there by first probably looking at the fucking Wikipedia page for the Holodomor or something, I bet.
To some sources on the fly, and then I'm gonna create a more in-depth thing, you know, after this stream. What do you think about that? Because there are many Polish sources. I might look into really, you know, sources that are not Western, so to speak.
Special Polish sources. You know, Poland has very special insight here.
So I will have to do that. But
That
for
doesn't
now,
even make sense. Like, why would you look at Polish sources specifically? What fucking insight does Poland have to offer? I would have thought you'd be like, there's Ukrainian sources or something, but not even that. Just Polish.
we are going to look for some internet sources on the fly as well in Polish. I'm gonna look them up. We're gonna have some fun with this. I'm gonna have to edit this heavily for a segment, but we're gonna have fun doing this, okay?
I don't see any of the editing at all. She started out with like a 1 minute long, just her screaming about winning at a video game or something.
The server you're reacting to. Oh, okay. Do you mean the Giggle Court? You should.
I said I'd give her 10 minutes, but we're already at 7 and literally nothing has happened. Absolutely fucking nothing has happened.
You should tag people. You should tag people and ask them to come. You should tag any person that is online and you know will be interested in the critique of BadEmpanada.
Why would you tag Polish people? This is bizarre. We need to get all the Poles in here who are interested in the critique of BadEmpanada. That might be like 4 people in the entire world.
In fact, let's... we're gonna write a tweet about this. How about that? So
We're gonna write a tweet about this. She's so sure that she's going to completely debunk this video an entire minute after having admitted that she knows absolutely nothing about this topic and having shown that to her the idea that there is even an academic debate on this topic is disgusting. This is exactly what I mean when I say that these people, most of these people just have no fucking idea what's going on. They do not know what's going on. They just passively absorb whatever is fed to them by the hegemonic propaganda, wherever it is they might live or whatever it is they might see online. You know, take it all for granted. They don't need any evidence to believe it. But then when someone goes over the actual academic evidence on the topic in great detail, they can't respond because they don't fucking know why they even believe what they believe. But they are still 100% sure that they are right by default somehow. So they don't need any evidence to come to their conclusions. And when you refute their conclusions with actual evidence, it causes this incredible cognitive dissonance and the only response they really have to that is to just repeat over and over again The equivalent of me no like, me no like, me no like.
We are in hell, and we are...
But like the thing is,
Communism is based.
if someone came to the beliefs that they have without needing any evidence to believe them, then you can't convince them that their beliefs are incorrect with evidence either. Trying to appeal to someone like this is a complete waste of time because they're going to find a way to like rationalize their belief, no matter how incorrect it is. And unfortunately, most YouTubers and Twitch streamers and stuff like that are all like this.
Empanada, the great
Oh,
hunger.
we're back to the epic, definitely not racist, intentional mispronunciations.
Which definitely happened. It's like, I always, ever since I was a child, I always felt it was so ridiculous that it was really famous that people in the US would say that things like the Holocaust did not happen, when it was so obvious for everyone here that it did happen.
That's great because the Polish state is a Holocaust denial state. The Polish state literally made it illegal to
Feels
talk
like he
honestly
supports the Holocaust.
in line of academic research regarding the Polish state's role in helping to perpetuate the Holocaust. Yeah, speaking about Holocaust denial, as a Pole, you should be very, very intimately knowledgeable about it in Poland. You shouldn't need to point to the fucking US for Holocaust denial. You've got it at home. The Polish government pushed ahead with a controversial Holocaust speech law at the beginning of the year. The law criminalized references to Polish guilt in Nazi atrocities, which factually happened. There were plenty of Polish collaborators of Nazi atrocities. And the literal Polish government itself wants to fucking deny that. So if you want to look for Holocaust deniers, I don't know why you're pointing to the US. You have a much bigger problem with that at home. Literally your government, or one of your recent governments, were Holocaust deniers. Unbelievable.
Same with things like the Great Hunger. Everybody knows that it did happen, and it was the effect of a failed, horribly rushed, horribly planned plan by Stalin, the 5-year plan. Like, everybody knows that the 5-year plan is directly responsible for the Great Hunger, you know?
Everybody knows. I think this is just the vibe of how it's going to be. Everybody knows. I don't need evidence. Everybody knows this. Source? Everyone knows.
The
Came to me in a
plan that
dream.
was unachievable. Stalin actually made unachievable
Please stop playing the video game.
plans and rushed them and forced them and caused tons of people to die.
If you don't
because
trust
of
the
it.
CIA, then who do you trust?
Everybody knows this. I guess apart from da.
Everybody knows this. We don't need evidence. We don't need to look at the scholarship. We don't need to look at the facts. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Unbelievable. Like, the only reason that I found out about this is someone
Feels like
linked
he
me a
supports the
Reddit thread where
Holocaust.
people were like complaining about me. And in the comments, this was linked as like a great debunk of my video. And I'm like absolutely fucking gobsmacked that anyone, like, they must not have even watched it before saying that. How could anyone watch this and be like, oh, this is a great debunk of my video? Like, how could they even watch it for long enough to get to the point where she even starts responding to my video? Because we're 10 minutes in and it hasn't happened yet. Hold on, let me find that post. So is this post of people just pointing out, they did this before too when I first released this video, just pointing at the thumbnail of my Holodomor video and being like, wow, how could you even talk about that? Yeah, here it is. Polish trans YouTuber Lucy Hayes made a good debunk. 61 upvotes. This is a good debunk to you? I'm beginning to understand the level of intelligence in the tanky joke. It's not exactly very high if they think this is a good debunk. Unfucking believable. Like I said, I'd give it 10 minutes. We're 9 minutes in and nothing's happened yet.
Let's go.
And it's mostly reliable if you just want to look up some basic facts. Things like,
Like-
what is a dog? Or what is a snake?
What?
Or who was the president?
That's not true. That's not true, BadEmpanada. Like,
What?
Wikipedia has many good sources.
What?
Hello, Queen. Like, I have checked.
It's not true that Wikipedia is good if you want to know what a dog is. I think it's fine for that. But,
Many things on Wikipedia that I actually have a bit more of knowledge, and Wikipedia is usually right on the ball about those things.
given what we've seen of you so far, I don't think anyone should trust your opinion on anything at all. So, pretty readily just discard everything that you're saying without actually providing any evidence for it at this
Like,
point.
Wikipedia usually is pretty accurate.
Of
So please don't lie about it being like,
Please don't lie about Wikipedia. She turned this into like some sort of social justice thing, denying the veracity of Wikipedia. Is that like the new fucking Tumblrite offense of the day?
just for what is a cat, what is a something. Like, that's blatantly not true.
Unfucking believable. How is it not true? Do you have any proof of your claims? Can you provide any backing for this, or just like, I think that's wrong? Everyone knows that's wrong. That's the level that these people operate at.
That's a lie. That's a total lie.
We're already at
that's
10
BS.
minutes.
Yeah, Wikipedia.
You're just going to say Wikipedia is great 10 times in a row without even remotely engaging with what I'm saying, without
Pretty
providing
good.
any evidence of the
And
contrary.
it does give you sources which you can click on and check. So
Wow, that's exactly what this video is about, and I'm sure she's still going to not like it. I thought Wikipedia was great, but it sources a bunch of sources that contradict your taken for granted beliefs. Well, now I have to go past 10 minutes to at least get to the point where she
stop lying
notes
about
that.
it being just
Stop
for some
lying about
basic
Wikipedia.
things.
Of the USA in 2017. In subjective
Okay.
question than just who was the president in 2017. There are
Okay.
many different arguments as to how he got elected, some better or more convincing than others. So
Okay.
in an article that addresses that question,
Okay.
how do we decide which of them are closer to the truth or which to include?
We look into the sources, genius.
Wikipedia's attempt to
Just
tackle
look at
this
the
problem.
sources. You just look at the sources, right? There can't be different sources for different arguments and different interpretations, right? You just look at the sources. Well, genius, what happens when the sources say different things? What happens when they come to different conclusions? Have you even contemplated that's a thing that can be possible? You just look at the sources. Wikipedia doesn't just look at the sources. It takes different arguments, sometimes that are very contradictory, and aggregates them. And it picks and chooses which to include and which not to. These people, like, honestly, if these people have even, like, finished high school and they are this dumb, I don't even know what's going on then, man.
Is its stated policy of neutrality. The idea is that when
No.
venturing beyond the realm of simple, uncontroversial
No.
fact,
People put links to sources.
Oh my god, she's so fucking dumb!
Do you know how you can check the claims? You read the sources link.
Wikipedia literally sources multiple different contradictory arguments. And
Communism
this
is
page
based-
right here about the neutral point of view is specifically pointing out that Wikipedia, at least officially, it's supposed to not judge the sources. It's supposed to not tell you which of them is correct. It's supposed to show you them, even if they are totally contradictory. So it doesn't matter if you can look at the sources. The question isn't about if you can look at the sources. The question is, how does Wikipedia choose which sources to show more prominently, which not to, which are more correct, which aren't? You dumb motherfucker.
Into Wikipedia and you check how good the sources are. Okay?
This is incredible. Okay, I think her judgment of, like, her every 2 seconds, like, taking exception in a very dumb way to something about me talking about Wikipedia is getting a bit stale. Is there a transcript for this? If there's one thing I want to see her reaction to, it's the notion that Robert Conquest, the most prominent originator of the genocide thesis, changed his opinion 2 hours and 10 minutes in, and she's still playing fucking video games.
Intro. I'm not really putting any strong counters so far, but
Wait,
I'm
she's
gonna prepare more. This is
She's 2 hours into watching the video at this point, apparently, and she's just saying, I haven't made any strong counters here. Maybe I should have prepared more. Yeah, maybe you should have. Maybe you should have half a fucking idea what you're talking about before you pertain to debunk a video. And then, nonetheless, despite admitting that multiple times within the video, you then upload the video, like, about how you've apparently proven that someone lied, when you're playing a fucking video game and just saying whatever comes to mind the entire time. This is going to be a fucking treat. I can't wait to see
It's
what she has to say about
ridiculous.
this next part.
yeah. That's right, couple. That's right. Like, this is
Talking to my
basically
free
the same.
viewers.
To me, personally, this is the same level of denial as this weird bearded guy did about Xander Hall.
You gotta get interest beyond internet drama, please. I cannot fucking imagine. Your first example of denial of something that comes to mind would be the weird beard guy doing denial about Xander Hall. Please log off. You need to log the fuck off. Like, you could have at least compared it to Holocaust denial or something. You know, something mainstream that people fucking know about. But the weird beard guy's denial about Xander Hall, how do they exist, man?
side section. The opinion of the late
But
historian
in this case, it's about millions of people.
Robert Conquest, who was a specialist on the Soviet Union. Conquest openly described himself as a cold warrior, meaning a writer who considered themselves to be partisan fighters in the propaganda arena during the Cold War. In Conquest's case, the side that he fought for was certainly the West. And this is a 100% accurate description of him that he himself certainly would have agreed with. He didn't hide his biases at all. In fact, he owned them. So I'm not trying to poison the well here. He just
Yeah,
factually
true.
was a pro-West, anti-Soviet
true.
polemicist, and he relished in that. So he's evidently quite a biased source.
BadEmpanada, bada. He doesn't simple
She really just can't help but be racist, can she?
women. He's too busy stalking her and harassing them. Got him.
Hey, Lucy Hayes, I suggest you stop abusing children. Though this is just a rumor. but it's worth keeping in mind.
BadEmpanada is too busy harassing
This is like A+ fucking racist, man. Dear God.
women.
She cannot fucking help it. She sees a Spanish word and she's like, I gotta mispronounce that. It's so fucking funny. Isn't that language just so fucking weird? It's like she can't actually respond, so she's just like, I'm gonna make something up about him. Well, I'm not gonna make something up about you, Lucy Hayes, who is factually a pedophile. You love children. Now, that's of course just a rumor, but it is worth keeping in mind.
This is really ridiculous. Calling out any bias from a Marxist-Leninist, I will always treat as a joke. I'm sorry. Marxist-Leninists are the last people on earth that are...
Has anyone actually tried to watch this? Does she bring up her own sources or try to refute something with any facts or evidence or anything? Or explain the cognitive dissonance between me going through an article that cites a bunch of academic sources and explaining them, and her just offhandedly rejecting them the entire time? Does anything like that happen? Fucking the Xander Hall weird beard guy deniers. I fucking hate the Xander Hall weird beard guy deniers. They are scum. These people are just way too involved in online internet drama, honestly. They're are so brain poisoned by streamer drama that the first thing that comes to mind for them as some unforgivable offense is someone saying something mean about an internet streamer with 200 viewers. I'm like a fucking California Valley girl right now. I just can't, man. I can't. The Xander Hall weird beard guy deniers. To these people, being a Xander Hall weird beard guy denier, whatever the fuck that means, is some sort of capital offense. It's on the same level as Holocaust denial. It's a completely disqualifying trait to be a Xander Hall weird beard guy denier. Whatever the fuck that means. If you even know what that means, you need to be put into rehabilitation with no internet access for at least 2 months.
Are able to call out bias. I'm sorry. Is this a joke? Marxist-Leninists talking about bias?
But bias alone is no reason to discount his work entirely. The wiki article cites his book on the famine, The Harvest of Sorrow, which was co-written with historian James Mace and released in 1986. This book was one of the first academic works that specifically addressed the question of whether the famine was planned and then induced as an intentional attempt to starve Ukrainians or not. Conquest concluded both that it was and that it was a genocide, and interestingly, cited the aforementioned notes by Raphael Lemkin in doing so. Conquest's work, biased as it may have been, was still a serious argument, and one that, at least at the time, could not simply be ignored. Even those who disagree with its conclusions still nonetheless cite the book to this day, because it still includes useful eyewitness accounts and translations of Soviet documents. Conquest did not, however, actually uncover any direct evidence that the famine had been planned or had specifically targeted Ukrainians. Rather, he relied on some very broad inferences and circumstantial evidence, a practice which perhaps made more sense at the time since access to secret Soviet government documents was non-existent then. However, literally the next year, the Soviet archives started to be opened, and the lack of any evidence uncovered there heavily complicated his conclusions. Conquest, despite his clear biases and his...
We're getting to the biggest bout of cognitive dissonance you're probably going to see from anyone ever. Get strapped in, it's coming.
Open acknowledgement of the fact that he intentionally wrote anti-Soviet propaganda, was nonetheless capable of admitting it when new evidence came out that proved him wrong. After the archives failed to produce any evidence supporting the intentional famine thesis, he corresponded with scholars Stephen Wheatcroft and Robert Davies, whose work we're going to be getting into very soon. They noted that, while in his writings and speeches from the 80s, Conquest constantly made claims like Stalin wanted a famine, and that the famine was deliberately inflicted for its own sake, when writing to them, he heavily dialed back these conclusions, instead stating that Stalin purposefully inflicted the 1933 famine? No. What I argue is that with resulting famine imminent, he could have prevented it, but put Soviet interest other than feeding the starving first, thus consciously abetting it. That is a huge departure from his original book.
Be it as it may, as much as it is a departure from his original claim, I am sorry, but choosing the Soviet interest first and choosing to starve millions of people to death is still genocide. Repeat.
Genocide of who? Oh, she's just saying repeat after me.
After me. Choosing...
Is this it? Making a statement, and that's the argument. You just make a statement and then you repeat it. That's the argument. We're not going to try to justify this. We're not going to explain how. We're going to state it and then repeat it. And we haven't even gotten to the Conquest interview where he reiterated a very similar claim.
Choosing a state's interests and choosing to let millions of people to starve is genocide.
Now, this argument here would only work, by the way, if they knew that what they were doing would cause millions of people to starve. Now, did they know that? Did they specifically know that? Do you have any proof that they knew that or even thought that? And two, we're not even talking about, we can't be talking about genocide here, in fact, because the people who died as a result of the famine were not Ukrainian. They were not even mostly Ukrainian. In fact, mostly non-Ukrainians died, if we count Kazakhs, Russians, and also other people who lived in Russia, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan, including, for example, Hungarians. So, unless you want to say that you don't need to specifically target a national or ethnic or religious group for it to be genocide, and that we don't actually need some form of intent or foreknowledge for it to be genocide, you don't exactly have a case here. And I don't expect that she's going to argue for a case, because she seems to just think that repeating herself, making a statement with no backing or nor explanation, constitutes a real argument.
Are you gonna argue that it's not? Are you serious?
Are you serious? Yes.
BadEmpanada.
Holy shit, she literally cannot stop being racist. Jesus Christ.
Book, which painted the famine as a planned and engineered genocide of Ukrainians. Wheatcroft and Davies also note that conquest even stopped.
Oh, wow. So instead of being a planned and engineered genocide of Ukrainians, it was a genocide out of choice.
What?
This makes it so much better. Wow, that's
What the fuck does that even mean?
that's the better genocide. That's the
Feels
Funny
like he
because she
supports
doesn't
the
even
Holocaust.
contest the actual facts here. She's just like, oh my god, how could you not call this genocide? This outrages me. I'm not going to explain why. I'm not going to explain how. I'm not going to go into any depth on my opinions. I'm just going to express outrage at the fact that you even exist, that these people, these incredibly respectable academics, including the academic who literally created the genocide thesis, dialed it back and don't think it's genocide anymore.
justified genocide, is it?
Calling the famine a genocide later in his life. So to include him in the pro-genocide section here is puzzling, since he clearly changed his mind later on and no longer considered it to be a genocide. And the worst thing about—
No, he did. Yes, he did. What do
He
you
literally did. He literally stopped considering it to be a genocide.
mean? It's still a genocide if you choose the state.
It doesn't matter if you say it's still a genocide or not. What matters is if Robert Conquest, the person in question here, thought it was a genocide or not. And he stopped calling it a genocide. This is unfucking believable. No, they don't want to actually broaden the scope of genocide. You have to understand. What they want to do is just employ the word constantly against any of the West's enemies, while gatekeeping the word whenever it regards the West. Like the US, for example, consciously starved Iraq for 10 plus years of brutal sanctions following the Gulf War. During the Gulf War, they intentionally targeted civilian infrastructure in an effort to completely destroy Iraqi society and essentially leave the country in the pre-industrial age. They're deliberately targeting civilian infrastructure, which obviously is going to hurt a specific national group, being Iraqis. Hundreds of thousands of people died as a result of that. They then, as a result of that, they then implemented absolutely brutal sanctions on Iraq, which resulted in at least hundreds of thousands of direct deaths while causing massive misery for the rest of the population. Then, barely 10 years later, they invade Iraq, again, do the exact same thing, again, bombing, destroying civilian infrastructure. But after this, after they invade, kill hundreds of thousands of people, what they do is they implement this time a direct occupation government that destroyed things so that it could then pay American companies out of Iraqi coffers to rebuild them. How convenient. So how many people did the US kill in Iraq, specifically targeting people of the nationality, aka nation, Iraqi? Millions. Easily millions in this 15 or so year time span. Easily. Do you think this person would call that a genocide? Even though the clear intentionality of deliberately targeting civilian infrastructure, deliberately taking actions in terms of sanctions, knowing that they would specifically target, hurt, and kill civilians, and then doing it all again for the sake of giving contracts to American companies to profit off it, that is like infinitely more of a genocide than her arguments here. But do you think she would say that the US committed genocide in Iraq? No. Obviously not. So, like, the fact is that what's going on here is an simple attempt to apply genocide as much as possible, as liberally as possible, when we're talking about the West's enemies. When it comes to the West, though, in clear cases where if we were remotely consistent with what they claim, how they claim the label genocide should be applied, it would be applied to practically everything the West has ever fucking done to any other countries in the last 100 years or so. 100 years, 200, 300 years, 500 years, honestly, of Western colonialism. The game is so fucking clear here. And honestly, it's so easily decipherable. It's so easy to spot. It's so easy to dissect that there's no way for them to respond to this. There's no way for them to engage properly. It's why they don't even try. It's why they just express indignation that inconvenient facts, what they want to believe, even exist.
Before the lives of millions. What?
And yeah, Poland invaded Iraq too. That's true. Ukraine as well invaded Iraq. They were participants in the Iraqi genocide. You think she's going to say that? No, not in a million fucking years would she or would any of the people who demand to apply genocide liberally to the West's enemies ever apply it in the much more applicable case of Iraq.
This is that all of this is included in the Wikipedia article. It says that he wrote a book in the 80s where he claimed the famine was a planned genocide, then later changed his stance after the expected evidence of this.
Are you kidding?
This really comes off as just another desperate inclusion to bolster what would otherwise be a pretty empty pro-genocide section. It in fact just contradicts itself without elaborating at all.
No, it did not.
Conquest supported
It did not contradict itself. Are you kidding, you hack? I just explained why.
She just explained why by applying her own made-up definition of genocide to Robert Conquest. It's not about your opinion on what genocide is. It's about what Robert Conquest thought the event was, whether it was genocide or not. And clearly, by the end of his life, he had decided that it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, her brain's not breaking down. It was never functioning to begin with, man.
Am I?
So maybe stop playing a video game for a second. Maybe that would help.
Yeah, it's sparkling mass murder. This is ridiculous. This is what Marxist-Leninists are. This is what I'm gonna enjoy my anti-tanky arc.
You're gonna enjoy your anti-tanky arc? You don't have an arc. You're a streamer with 333 subscribers. You don't have arcs. Kill me.
That the famine was a planned act of genocide. Then, without elaborating at all, 1 second later, it says that he later changed his mind to the exact opposite. That's just going to leave the reader very confused.
The exact opposite? Did we just hear the same thing? The exact opposite? Okay, first it was engineered from the start to mass genocide Ukrainians, and then it's changed to Stalin chose the state and allowed the Ukrainians to starve to death, which is not the opposite. Are you serious?
Those are completely, for one, they are completely different things. And for two, the only thing that's relevant here is whether Robert Conquest considers the famine to be genocide. Did he consider it to be genocide? Well, considering that he drastically retreated from his original thesis and then stopped using the term genocide to refer to the famine during the end of his life, as was noted by noted scholars on the Holodomor, Stephen Wheatcroft and Robert Davies. He clearly stopped considering it a genocide, or he would have kept calling it a genocide. And I'm pretty sure after this, I cited an interview with Robert Conquest where he reiterates this point.
Are you serious? This is not the opposite.
Hold on. I don't remember if I actually cited the interview with Conquest where he reiterates that. Well, I don't think I included that. I think I forgot. But there's an interview with Stephen Kotkin.
This is not a good argument. This is not a good argument.
Okay.
Like, what? The famine happened elsewhere, so there was no Ukrainian famine, but a Soviet one? Okay, this is not a good argument.
Why not? Why not? That's literally, the famine wasn't a Ukrainian famine, it was a Soviet one. Yeah, if it happened in other places too, it's clearly not just the Ukrainian famine. Why is it not a good argument?
Instead of directly citing Kotkin's scholarly work on the subject.
This is the intelligence of the people that I deal with. I don't even know why I'm still watching. I think I've seen more than enough. Okay, what about Torger? Because for Torger, I was like the opposite. I was like, Torger is clearly a biased source who is more concerned with advancing his academic thesis than anything else, blah, blah, blah. And I wonder how she reacts to that.
This explains the grain shortfall better than the explanations of other authors, such as Wheatcroft and Davies.
Oh, I bet you like this one
the
the best,
shortfall
right?
was more of a failure of
Marxist-Leninist,
government
mister.
policy. So for Torger,
Oh my god, she's so fucking stupid. She does the thing, as was said in the comments here beforehand, she does the thing where she loses the debate to an inanimate fucking video. She loses the debate to an inanimate fucking video, man.
the government bears comparatively little responsibility for the famine. They
think
still
I
did
died.
things wrong, but overall, the real overwhelming tipping point was Mother Nature, not Stalin and his government's action.
And this is
To
like
understand
silly.
why Torger shifted to this conclusion, we need to understand the direction of his wider body of work that deals
I bet that BadEmpanada will agree with this.
Can she stop being racist for 1 second? I mean, I know being Polish and racist is basically a given, but can you just stop for 1 fucking second? Please, dial it back.
Most, and we'll just say that this was all just caused by natural causes. It was just natural causes that, I guess Ukrainian people just needed to die.
Oh my god, this is the dumbest person you could ever see.
With famines. The most popular view among famine researchers
Never watch an anime avatar streamer. Never watch an anime avatar streamer. If aristocracy and Lucy Hayes haven't already made that clear, you should never watch an anime avatar streamer.
is that all famines...
Sending them food was
At
also
least
impossible,
notwithstanding
right?
incredible exceptions, like if an asteroid hit the Earth or something, I guess.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
doesn't mean they're literally intentionally created. It doesn't mean they can't be exacerbated by environmental factors. Rather, it means that there is or should always be enough food, either in a region, a country, or in the world, and who has access to it is ultimately socially determined. So when a famine results in lots of deaths, it can always be explained through man-made factors. Some obvious examples would be poor distribution of existing food supplies caused by poor government policy, or a lack of ability to buy food among the poor due to market factors, or a lack of good agricultural practices to make crops more resilient to poor weather
There you go.
conditions. All of those can be attributed to humans. But there's also countless less obvious ways that famines are man-made. For example, if a government doesn't keep adequate emergency food stocks to be used in times of famine, that's a man-made
confiscates
factor.
them.
The lack of adequate food relief imports from elsewhere is also a man-made factor, whether it be due to a decision of local or international government. There's always sufficient food in the world for everyone, so if some people aren't getting enough, that's due to artificial barriers put up by human societies, thus man-made. In the case of our subject matter, based on the sources we've read before Torga, the famine was man-made in the sense that it was the result of a failure of agricultural policies, and that more people then died due to inadequate redistribution of food from other regions which had surpluses. This doesn't necessarily imply malicious intent. Man-made famines are often attributable more to problems with economic, social, and political systems, and poor decision-making than to malice. Torga basically seems to think that everything that I've just said is bullshit, and that the famines that he's written about were all mostly caused by nature, rather than any of the human factors we just went over. For another example, he's also written on the Bengal famine of 1943, in which about 3 million Indians died, arguing that it was pretty much caused by nothing more than the weather, and the British Empire literally did nothing wrong at all. Usually, denial of any British responsibility in the Bengal famine, and denial of any Soviet responsibility in the Holodomor, are things that you would expect from wildly different ideological currents. Someone would deny one or the other, not both. So Torga's stance is very unique. I went over the Bengal famine in a video on the topic, which you should check out if you're interested in knowing more. But the gist of it is that the famine was partly caused by the actions of the British Empire, and many of the deaths once it began were due to its negligence and at times maliciousness. Many deaths could have been avoided, but the Empire didn't even try to do what was necessary to save people. Torga, however, just like in his writing on the Holodomor, holds that the natural factors were overwhelmingly important, so the government of Winston Churchill did pretty much nothing wrong at all. I also directly refuted his arguments on this in my aforementioned longer video on Bengal, and I don't want to go too far off topic here, considering how long this video already is. But basically, he just seems very invested in this idea that everyone else is wrong, and famines are not actually man-made ever. He even thinks that any notion that the British Empire deserves blame for the Great Irish Famine of the 1840s, which was pretty much the clearest example of callous colonial policy causing a famine that you could ever imagine, is little more than a national
She's just playing the video game. She's watching the video game cutscene.
myth. So Torga is very biased, but it's harder to notice
it's written
because he's
bad
not biased
when
in the usual
the
politically
West does
motivated
it,
way.
it's
Rather,
fake.
it's sort of scholarly
When
argument.
the USSR
What's
does
interesting
it,
about the
okay.
wiki article
She's so fucking stupid. I'm literally explaining why this author is wrong on the Holodomor. I'm explaining why I think he's wrong. And she's so fucking dumb, so airheaded. Like, there's just no brain there that she interprets it as me saying that actually he's right in this case, but wrong in the others. This is incredible.
though, is that it totally ignores his later article in the matter, which takes a much firmer stance against ascribing blame onto anyone for the famine, and instead exclusively cites his earlier one. After seeing all the subtle bias inserted into this article, I can only assume that this is because the editors found its conclusions to be a bit softer, and thus more in line with their own bias. It
I
also
see.
includes a couple of critiques
Because you
of
don't have a
Torga's
bias.
views. Any such critiques are wholly absent from opinions cited in the pro-genocide section, yet included multiple times here in the not-genocide section, probably because of that same bias. Torga's work regarding the influence of the environment on the Holodomor is valuable. His conclusions, however, go too far and are clearly crowded by his own personal crusade against the notion that humans could possibly be to blame for millions of people.
Yeah, no, of course. She has no idea what's even going on. Like, she seems to think that Torga believes it was a genocide, and I am refuting him because of that, when literally the exact opposite is true. He thinks it's not a genocide, and I am contesting his claims because I think they go too far. And she's so embroiled in the fucking video game that she doesn't even notice.
People dying in predictable and preventable ways. So he's a serious scholar, and he definitely merits inclusion here. He's just quite heterodox and goes a bit too far with his conclusions, to the point that even most other scholars in the no genocide camp disagree
So to translate this one is good, but he also says that Britain did nothing bad, which you disagree with, so not quite good. Okay.
If someone was to watch this and somehow be convinced by her, I would be worried about them, man. I would seriously be worried about them. I would wonder what the fuck is going on with them that makes them that stupid. Because these streamers, they're always incredibly stupid. But imagine how dumb you need to be one of their viewers. That's the real fucking horror movie sort of shit right there. That's the, like, you could make a legitimate horror movie about that. Sure, these people are really stupid. Now imagine how dumb the people who watch them, the people who think they're like some sort of thought leaders or something must be.
with them. This context
He only partially agrees with you, so basically only partially good. Got it.
surrounding his work is very
He literally like goes so incredibly far. Holy shit. She's so dumb.
important, as it's often cited by people who outright deny literally any government responsibility for both
But he's important, because he partially agrees with you. Okay.
Soviet fans
Okay.
of
She is the dumbest person you could ever imagine. Holy shit. Imagine if I spoke directly to this person. Can you fucking imagine? I think she'd last about 2 minutes before just completely crumbling. It would be fucking hilarious.
1932
I
to
see.
Like, if she struggles this bad with an inanimate video, can you imagine having to speak to someone live?
1933 and the Bengal famine. So that's 5
Got
out
it.
of 5 for serious modern
Okay, we've had enough of that. We've had enough of Lucy Hayes. I've given her way more airtime than she ever possibly deserved. But that is fucking great. I'm really happy that she gave me this content. I'm happy for her. This is probably her most viewed video ever just because it has my name in the title. Second most viewed. Thank you very much, Lucy Hayes. But if you could maybe stop being, for one, such a racist. You know, languages that you don't understand aren't funny, okay? And for two, perhaps do some basic research before pertaining to have all of the answers to a complex historical academic debate that you've never fucking heard of before. If you're even capable of doing that, which I mean, at this point, yeah, you're not. So I guess asking you that would be a bit too much. But yeah, thanks for the content, you fucking dumbass. What is it with these streamers who just play video games while saying whatever comes to mind? And what is it with the people who watch them? We need to look into this. We need to look into streamers who play video games while just saying whatever comes to mind and shut it down until we can figure out what's going on. Okay?